out of the game.
Hi, I'm Kelsa Dickey, the CEO of the Financial Coach Academy and my financial coaching business, Fiscal Fitness Phoenix. My coaching journey began more than a decade ago with me helping people for free from my dining room table. What was once a little business of mine has grown into a 7-figure company that employs a team of people. My goal is simple, to help you fall more and more in love with financial coaching. I believe financial coaching is the most rewarding way to make a living. If you are an aspiring financial coach or have been coaching for years, I'm here to help you create a business you love that gets your clients massive results. Let's get to it. Hey coaches, we're kicking off episode 30. Can you believe we have 30 episodes of this podcast? I absolutely love it. I am enjoying recording these episodes. I appreciate you being a listener. I wanted to kick off this episode with a review that was left on Apple Podcasts by Callie316. Callie316 says, Kelsa is building my confidence as a new financial coach, one podcast at a time. I just bought her book, The Financial Coaching Playbook, on Amazon, and I'm loving it. She has such great content on YouTube. Thank you so much, Callie, and thank you for being a listener. Hey, I wanted to let you guys know that this episode is dropping sort of at the end of June. If you are listening on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, excuse me, I dropped a bonus episode on the podcast players only at the end of May. So you'll see it if you want to go and check that out. It is a bonus episode that is on the podcast players only, so it's audio only. It is not on YouTube. If you go to the end of May, you will see that under the word bonus. So go ahead and check that out if you are listening or watching on YouTube. I also want to let you guys know we have a VIP day coming up. It is on September 16th, and I am hosting it at my lake house in Michigan, which is about an hour north of Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is on the west side of the state. I won't do the hand diagram here like most Michigan people do. If you want to check that out, we would love to have you. You can go to financialcoachacademy.com/VIP day. We only have 1 or 2 spots remaining. I record these episodes about a month before the episode drops, and so I'm always a little hesitant to give you a number just in case somebody registers before the episode actually airs. But you can find all of the information about the event at financialcoachacademy.com/VIP day. It is a day full of growth and coaching for your financial coaching business specifically. It's going to be at my home. I would love to have you come learn and grow with me on September 16th. All right. I am super excited to answer your questions on this episode. Thank you to those who submitted your questions. If you have questions, by all means, please submit them. This will not be the last one of these types of episodes I do where I answer your questions. You can submit them at financialcoachacademy.com/podcast. I was reading them as they came in. But I did not review which ones were going on the air today. So I had my team pick the episode topics. And so I had them pick the 5 questions they thought were most important. And so I am going to be answering those sort of on the fly. My team did put some notes in here referencing different episodes or that kind of thing, just in case I need to reference some things. But we're going to dive in, and I'm super excited about it. So here it was the first question. This is by Patrick V, but also Daniel B. I won't say last names. I'll just give initials. You both essentially submitted the same question. So there might be slightly different wording, but it was the same gist. Do you have a contract your clients sign before starting a coaching session? If so, what details are important in the contract? Okay, yes, we do have them sign a contract. You can actually find a copy of my financial coaching contract, the actual agreement that we use every single day when we onboard a client. You can actually find that. It's available in the Financial Coaches Unite Facebook group. If you're in the group or once you ask to join the group, again, it's Financial Coaches Unite. You're going to want to click on guides. You can find the guides either on a desktop or on your phone just below the header image, and sort of like there's all the people's faces for the members. Just below that, you'll see the word guides. It's in the same section where it says like media and files and that kind of thing, but one of those options is guides. You're going to click on that. This is where we've saved the most popular training videos, the most popular posts, the ones that have gotten the best discussion going in the comments. They're all saved in the guide section, but you're going to want to navigate to guide 2. And our coaching agreement is the very last item in that guide. So in guide 2, you will see a copy of our agreement. You can literally just use ours if you want. But here's kind of what you want to think about. A contract should say, like, here's what you can expect from us as your coach and from the program and all of that. And here's what is expected from you, the client. Here's how you need to show up best, right? And then there's also a few legalese that you need to add, like a standard waiver and release clause, which again, that isn't ours. You can take ours and then depending on your state or your location, ask a client or an attorney to review it and make any additions that might be sort of relevant to your state. But you'll get an idea of exactly all of the different items that are covered inside of our coaching agreement, and you can use that for yourself. One thing that you may want to consider adding to your agreement, though, that is not in our agreement, and I make this very clear in the Financial Coach Academy course, it is recommended by attorneys that you have a mandatory arbitration clause. An arbitration clause is a clause in a contract that requires the parties to resolve their disputes through an arbitration process. So parties to a contract will agree to have their case reviewed by a third party called an arbitrator, and to be the resolution by that person is sort of you're bound by their decision, okay? Personally, and I don't want to get on a soapbox, it doesn't really matter. You can agree or disagree with me, and it's totally fine. I personally disagree with them. So I choose not to have one inside of my agreement. But you could choose differently. According to attorneys, you should choose differently. And so I want to put that massive, massive disclaimer on that, okay? And you could probably just Google arbitration clause if you wanted to. Let's see. The next question that we got was from Jacqueline, I think. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that. Jacqueline P. It's Jacalyn. Techniques to help clients that have ADHD and forget to do exercises or budget. Ooh, this is a great question. I am not an expert in ADHD. There are some coaches who are, and I love this. So if you are curious about this, or Jacqueline, if I don't answer your question as thoroughly as you would like, I'm going to give you some suggestions in just a second. But by all means, this is one of those great opportunities to post in Financial Coaches Unite and say, hey, who is an ADHD coach and what are you finding that works best for clients who have ADHD? I think that is a brilliant question, and let's really get all of our brains working on this, right? Like, let's all learn together sort of thing. So here are some suggestions, though. I think using a phone to set reminders, or I think timers can really help. So I think there's this idea that, like, I have to sit down and do something for 30 minutes. And if you can set a timer for, like, I got to do it for 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes or even 5 minutes or something like that. Sometimes just getting started is the hardest part. Michael has ADHD. He loves the Pomodoro method. So you can Google that, but it's essentially a way of managing your time. It works really well for his brain and the way his brain works. You do something for 25 minutes and then you stop for 5 minutes and you repeat that 4 times. So 25 minutes of work followed by 5-minute break. And then after you do it 4 times, you take a 25-minute break. That tends to work really well for him. Put things on the calendar and use apps like Todoist. That's very important. Todoist. Michael always says that, like, the second something comes on his plate, he adds it to his Todoist app. And that is a habit that he has really had to work hard to build, but it has to happen instantly. Like, as soon as someone says something, he grabs his phone, goes to his Todoist app and adds it. So that way there is a place for it, because literally a second later, his brain is elsewhere. Okay. So I would also recommend reading Atomic Habits so that you can learn techniques to start building great habits in general. I think that book is amazing for all of us as coaches. It doesn't matter if you help, clients with ADHD or not. I think that is an amazing book. I think coaching a client on their mindset through this, that this is not a limitation, that we all have things that we have to find ways to make things work for us, right? And this is whether you easily procrastinate or you easily get distracted or any number of things. We all have something like that. And so it's this idea of, like, this is not a limitation. My job as your coach is to help you find a way that you can do this that will work for you, right? So let's explore that. Let's get curious about that. Let's see. I think that you could sort of talk with them about, are they receiving medical support for, their diagnosis and that kind of thing. My son Alex also has ADHD, and he takes medication for it. And this just happened, like, in the last 2 weeks, actually, that I Michael was traveling and I forgot to give Alex his medication in the morning. And so I didn't notice that. I took him to school and then I didn't realize it until I got back, and I emailed the teacher and I was like, hey, just so you know, I just realized that I forgot. Let me know if I need to come to school, or I just wanted to give you a heads up kind of thing. And I'm telling you, my son's kindergarten teacher is quite literally the best. She is absolutely amazing. She just has this beautiful energy about her. She is calm and just so beautiful and accepting and all those kinds of things. And she said, thank you for letting me know, keep you posted kind of thing. So then that day I went to go pick Alex up from school, and I saw her and I was like, how did he do today? And she goes, she's just so lovely. She said, well, I just let him know he needed a few extra redirects today. And I just let him know we're in this together today, buddy. We're in this. We're going to do this together today. And it was so adorable. Sorry, that's a little side tangent. But, and I know that, the difference between my son with and without medication is drastic. That day that I had forgotten, the other thing that kept happening that day, this is just side note, sorry, but is he kept cursing. He kept swearing. He never swears. I didn't even know he knew these words. But that day, it was just so clear that he could not help it. He could not, those words were just flying out of his mouth. There was like no filter from, brain to mouth kind of thing. The impulsivity was just so strong. And that's the only day he's ever done it. So I do think sort of medical support, talking with a doctor, all of that kind of stuff, highly, highly recommend. I would also say automate as much as possible, use auto pay, those types of things. I also want to, from coach to coach, ask you to really consider how much work and detailed work you're giving a client to do. And this is true for everybody, whether a client has ADHD or not. But I really love to geek on a spreadsheet. I love to sort of look at different numbers and pull different triggers and see what's happening and play with numbers and all that kind of stuff. I can really get into the weeds of things and I enjoy that. But that not every client needs that level of detail or sort of needs that level of being on top of everything. We have a number of clients who they're not diagnosed ADHD, but we've had a couple of clients they're older and they say, I'm pretty sure I have it, right? They sort of feel like I read things about it and they say that it sounds just like them and all of that. And the way we have them budget is a much more fluid process. It's not constant tracking. It's not updating every single dollar that you spend and those types of things. It's let's manage this in a way that works for them, right? Like I was saying earlier. And so I just want to encourage you, coach, to sort of not be so stuck in what you need that's how you're coaching the client. I mean, that's good advice anyway, but really think about what can this client do that will serve them well? There are some coaches, I would say, too, that specialize in this. And I love knowing that. So, again, I just want to invite you to post in Financial Coaches Unite and see how those who serve this niche can support and encourage one another. I think that would be a beautiful thing. All right, next question by Julie B. I know fitness is important to you, and I can tell you lift weights. Okay, I know fitness is important to you, and I can tell you lift weights. I'm a power lifter too. What's your favorite lift and your PRs? Okay, powerlifting is definitely my jam. So powerlifting, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to keep this short because I don't know how many people care, is typically 3 lifts: a back squat where you put the bar on your back and you squat down, a bench press. So you lay on your back on a bench, of course, and you bring the bar down to your chest and back up, and then a deadlift. You can either do a conventional deadlift or a sumo deadlift. I would say before this year, my favorite lift was the back squat. So I loved the back squat. It was my strongest lift by far. I didn't even start bench pressing until maybe a year and a half ago. So that was a brand new lift, but I had been sort of doing CrossFit and all sorts of things for a while. So the squat was pretty comfortable for me. So I would say up until this year, I loved the back squat the most. And then that kind of changed this year, actually. I switched from doing conventional deadlift to sumo deadlift this year, and I have fallen in love with the deadlift. I love the sumo deadlift. I think it's a very sexy lift, actually. I love one of the things that I do when I'm bored and I just want to kill some time is I literally just scroll through Instagram and watch really strong, powerful women do sumo deadlifts. It's one of my hobbies, actually. So I love the sumo deadlift this year. PRs, I think my bench press is, if you lift, it kind of goes by the week, right? So am I having a strong week or not so much? But I'm going to say 200 pounds for bench press. It's probably pretty something I can do repeatedly. And my goal for my back squat is 407. I'm currently at 385 is my PR for that. So we'll see if I can get to 407. My last meet, I did 203.5 for the back squat. So I want to double that. That is my goal. That's where the 407 comes from. So I am working towards that. I'll probably hit that sometime next year. And let's see, my sumo deadlift. I think I'm at about 385 as well for that. Maybe about 365 more consistently. So if I'm having a bad week or something, it's not quite 385. So I'm getting there as well. I would love to have a 400-pound deadlift. That is what I am shooting for. So there you go, Julie B. And yes, I do love lifting. All right, Daniel B. asks, what are the administrative and or legal steps I need to take? And do you have to complete an online course and get some type of degree or accreditation in this? One of my passions is to create this from scratch on my own without using an online course or any of their content in my one-on-one meetings. I'm a certified teacher in the state of Michigan, and I just really love educating and helping people with their goals. Yay, Michigan. Okay. Let's see. Daniel, I want to sort of direct you to episode 24. I talk about what you need and don't need to start financial coaching. And I absolutely answer your first question in that episode about sort of the administrative or legal steps that you might want to take. As for your second question, you don't need a course or certification. You could absolutely create everything yourself from scratch. That is what I did. I think one question I would ask you is, why is that important to you? And just be really clear on that, okay? And I also think there might be like a happy medium here that I just want to invite you to explore, okay? So I don't want you to have that black and white thinking like we've talked about in many of these episodes. So is that you create everything from scratch and you get zero help, zero assistance. You essentially reinvent the wheel entirely. Or you are using something else that someone created and it has none of your personality to it. It has none of your own style to it. It's none of your own take on things. Those are sort of the two ends of the spectrum. And then there's a whole bunch of things in between, right? That may also be an option for you. So I just want to give you that to consider. I think taking a course like Financial Coach Academy or the Financial Coaching Toolkit, depending on where you're at in your journey, is meant to speed up your progress and the results, and it absolutely boosts your likelihood of success. There's no doubt about it. And I think there's a happy medium there, and I just wanted to talk with you about this because I think it's really important for people to know that, like, my goal is not to create a bunch of mini Kelsas as financial coaches. Like, I love who we serve. I love my people. My business model works beautifully for me. And my goal is to help you discover those things for you, but that doesn't mean that they have to be the same as mine, right? I want my version of creating scale and leverage in my business is to add more coaches to my team and have a big team. That is something that works for me. I love that element of what I do. And you may think that that sounds horrible, right? My style of coaching may not be the same as your style of coaching. My goal for financial coaches is to help you hone your style of coaching. I want you to serve your people, so you've got to know who that is. I actually love knowing that there are coaches out there who serve people I don't, because then I don't have to be the one to serve them, right? I know that there's someone better for them, and that just makes it so I can stay in my zone of genius. I can stay in my lane, right? I want you to coach in a way that is perfect for you. So in the Financial Coach Academy, knowing that that is my philosophy, right? In the Financial Coach Academy, here's the method we use for every single lesson in the academy. And I just think this is really good for you to know, okay? The first step is we teach you a business strategy. So it's like, here is the general framework. This strategy could be applied to any single business. It doesn't have to be just a financial coaching business. This is like the general concept that exists in the world, right? It's like best practices. Here's why this strategy works, right? So it's more general. We always start there. That way you understand the why of what you're creating. The next step is that I show you exactly how we have chosen to apply that framework specifically to a financial coaching business. So you get everything that we have already created. So for those people who are not like you, Daniel, they might take those things and just run with them, right? That might be what they want because they're not like you. They don't want to create all of their own stuff, right? So that is the second piece where it's like, we're going to take it from theory in concept and idea. And I'm actually going to show you for a real life financial coaching business how we have applied that strategy, okay? And then we give you everything we've created to go along with that, okay? Then the third phase of every single lesson, this is every single concept, is that we actually give you a step-by-step process to follow to create that strategy and apply it to your own business. Okay, so you can create it on your own. Let me give you an example from the module that's all about how to design a program, which I could do a whole episode about this. I could do like a whole series of episodes about designing a program. And I probably will. Is the first section of that is the theory, right? Like, here's why a program model works for a coaching business. Here's the benefits of it for a financial coaching business. Here's the characteristics of a program. Here's the key attributes of that. Here's the pros and cons of a program. Here's the alternative pricing and programming strategies that you could use in your business and why those probably won't work for you, but here's ones you can try if you want, kind of thing. Here's why a program model works best, kind of thing, right? And it's the general concept around program design. Then the next step is you get a copy of our 6-month coaching program. So you can see here's exactly how we've taken that strategy and we've applied it to a financial coaching business. Okay, so here's everything we've got. Here's our pricing flyer for that. Here's our outline that we give to clients, all that kind of stuff, right? Here's the concepts that go inside of that program, yada, yada. Then the third step is different worksheets and step-by-step guides that say, here's the question you want to ask yourself first. And then you want to figure out this. And then what's this part of your program going to look like? We actually break down designing a program into a step-by-step process so that you can create one that works for you. And this module is module 3. It's after you've already thought about your ideal client. So you know your ideal client going into this module. And what we do is we actually help you to think about your ideal client. Where are they when they first come to you? What do they need first? After they solve that problem, what comes up second for them and that kind of thing? And you're actually going to use your ideal client to design your program. That way, if it's different than what mine is and what my clients need from me, we are actually helping you to create that. Now, what most people experience is a bit of a hybrid approach, which is like they go through that exercise and they're like, here's the parts that my clients need. Oh, and hey, look, out of these 24, steps or whatever it is, 24. That's a very large number. You don't need 24 steps in your program. I made that sound very complex. So out of these 6 steps, right? Kelsa already has 2 of them. Let me just go ahead and use the 2 that Kelsa has, and then I am going to shortcut how long this process takes for me to design my program, right? So I just want to address that, you do not need a course. You can absolutely create everything from scratch and do that. That is what I did. And so I cannot fault you for wanting to do that. And you also don't have to if you don't want to. And there's a little bit of in between, right? You do not have to take everything I do and use it. You can take the parts that you like. You can take the parts that resonate with you, and you can adjust and modify the other aspects, and you can create your own. The other thing that we do in the Financial Coach Academy is, so you get our program and you get the different exercises and concepts that we teach inside of our program. And we also teach you how to design your own concepts. So we have, I don't even know now, 150 different concepts that I've created over the years that are a coaching concept around money. So I take a money concept and I apply a coaching model to it. And that's essentially what the toolkit is, right? But we also, how do I do that? We actually give you that process because there is something that your clients might need from you that my clients don't need from me. And I don't want to just give you what I have if it's not going to work for you. I want you to also know how to go about serving your clients really well and hone your craft yourself. Okay. So there is just a happy medium here. And I just wanted you to know that. I would say if you want to ask yourself a couple questions is, what would it look like if you could have both? What would that look like for you, right? Where you can sort of have something that speeds up your process, but also it feels totally like yours, okay? That's the question I would ask. All right, next question is by Amber W. How do you draw the line between life coaching and financial coaching? How do I draw the line? I don't. Or I think the line is probably very fluid or not super precise, so I don't necessarily think about this that often. I also think, and I kind of talked about this in some of the first few episodes of this podcast, that financial coaching in my mind is a subset of life coaching. I think people think financial coaching is a subset of financial advising, but it's not. It's a subset of life coaching. And I think it was episode 17 where I talked about that 3-step framework for coaching around education, application, and commitment, right? And I think there's an element of financial coaching that requires more education than sometimes life coaching does. But I think that's really the one main difference. I just thought of another one that I'll talk about really quickly. So things like specific money strategies, or how the world works around money, or what the process is for certain things that they may want to do around money. Like if they want to review their credit, like where do you go to pull your credit score? Here's how credit scores work, and like those types of things, right? So there's an education component that is not always involved in life coaching. Sometimes there probably could be, but not always. I also think with financial coaching, money is one of the tools we continuously come back to. I think it's natural for a lot of coaches to avoid talking about money or simply not make money discussions a big part of the coaching sessions. But I think with financial coaching, it's sort of what we always come back to, right? It is at the foundation of what we discuss. And so we're going to talk about thoughts and feelings and strategies and life goals and desires in life and value systems and, all of those types of things that I think life coaches do as well. But then we're going to say, now, how can we get your money behind that and really add in the financial element? And I think that is one area that makes financial coaches unique. I do think there are a lot of financial coaches too that call themselves financial life coaches. And that makes sense to me because I think we all do an element of life coaching by my guess. I hope that helps. And last question by Annie H. I love your podcast and all of your resources. I also follow Brooke Castillo and am familiar with the model, but I haven't yet delved into being coached through it. I think it's an awesome framework for coaching people through their obstacles. What I've been wanting to explore more in my own mind is how to talk about it and work it into my financial coaching practice. So my question is, what does it look like to put this into practice? Are you talking about the model with clients? If so, how? My sense is that many people would look at you like you're crazy if you just started talking about getting out your model and putting things in the T or F line. Maybe it's something where you guide people through the process. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great question. So I do think the answer to this question will probably depend on your particular ideal client. For us at Fiscal Fitness, which is my coaching business, our clients are typically brand new to coaching. We are their first coach, chances are. And so I think you're totally right, Annie, that if I were to start busting out with like talking about the T and F line and that kind of thing, they probably would look at me like I'm crazy. And also, it's literally not even meeting them where they're at for our clients in particular. Like our clients don't come to us and say like, I need help with my thoughts or I want to work on my money mindset. It is simply not the need that they feel they have in that moment. So whether I think they need it or not sort of is irrelevant, right? I think that because they don't come to us with that need, I have to think about like, what is the need that they have? And the need that our clients have when they first come to us is usually something, for lack of a better word, more simple than that, or like more tangible, maybe. It's like, I need to figure out where my money is going, right? Or I need help getting control of my debt, or I want to buy a house, but that feels impossible, right? It's something more tangible. And I will say that for not all of our clients, but for a number of them when they first come to us, chances are because it's their first sort of step into growth and personal development and that kind of thing, they don't really have an awareness around thought work, I would say. And so in order to do thought work or the model, you have to have self-awareness. And this is simply one of those things where, truthfully, I wouldn't say that our clients, when they first come to us, necessarily have a deep level of self-awareness. And I want to be clear that I'm definitely speaking in some pretty big generalizations here. And some of my clients come to me and they've been coaching for 10 years and they are like the most self-aware people. They've invested in their personal development and their growth. And so I'm making some pretty sweeping generalizations here, but sort of like the patterns that we see, right, is what I'm talking about here. A lot of our clients, they're brand new to coaching. They're brand new to growth. They're brand new. So their awareness is actually where we start. And awareness is not just their financial position and gaining awareness of that, although that is a very key element of gaining awareness and clarity, but also aware of how they're thinking and how they're feeling, right? And helping them to gain awareness on that. And that is typically facilitated by me or by my coaches initially, okay? So we're sort of like teaching them how to do that by facilitating that process. Our clients, when they first come to us, want to see proof of financial changes and progress first. We know that. If I started by, coaching with something like, let's talk about how your thoughts affect your feelings, their thought would be, yeah, that sounds great, but I have a bill due on Friday that I don't know how to pay. So could we at least talk about that first, sort of thing, right? And what happens for our clients when they come to us, and I would guess probably a lot of you, depending on who your niche is like, their finances are so disorganized and so cluttered that it is truly causing mental clutter. Like they have such mind drama. They're so overwhelmed a lot of the times, right? That we have to help them sort through all of that. And a lot of it comes, that process, what we use, which is why I call myself a financial coach, is we use sorting through their money as sort of like the conduit of that. And that's just sort of what our process is. That is not to say that you have to do it that way. There are some coaches who absolutely start with mindset because that is where your ideal clients are when they come to you. That is exactly what they want help with first. If you start with mindset, please hear me. I am not saying that that is wrong or bad. I am saying that that is wrong or bad for my clients, okay? So our first month of coaching is not a lot of thought work per se. Like I wouldn't describe it or I wouldn't label it as thought work. It's a lot of getting organized, creating a plan, learning to plan ahead, giving them a forward-looking focus, sort of removing the immediate chaos so that they can focus their thoughts better, so that they can feel more creative, they can more calmly have conversations. Again, there tends to be a little bit of like a stress and frenzy when our clients first come to us that we can, sense from them. That initial step takes us about a month to accomplish. And again, we meet every single week with our clients for the first month. Once we do that and they're able to see their financial situation more clearly, it helps to remove a lot of the mind drama and the lack of clarity that their financial stress is causing. And so once that mind drama is removed, we can now have, I think, more productive conversations around thought work and teaching the model and like all those types of things, okay? And I will say that some clients don't care. Like they love the financial strategy aspect of it, but not the mindset or the thought work. And again, I'm not going to want something for them. I personally love thought work. I think it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I love sort of figuring out like what makes a person tick and why does a person take the action steps that they take and that sort of thing. Like what thought did they have and what feeling did they experience that created that outcome and like that. I mean, I just love that, but not every one of my clients does. And that's totally okay too. In a future episode, I'll actually go through a topic and show you how I might use the model where I'm more facilitating the journey through it and not so much like, doing it or teaching it to the client at the exact same time. But when I first started that, I do just want to be clear that like I literally had a Post-it note on my desk when I'd be coaching a client and I would write down the C, the T, the F, the A, the R. And I would literally like be filling it out while I was talking with them. Now I feel like I just do it naturally. I don't have to like necessarily write it down. I mean, every once in a while there's like a situation where I really want to like think through it. But yeah, so I hope that helps. Thank you to those of you who submitted your questions. Those are the questions we're answering on this episode. If you submitted a question and I didn't answer it today, just know that it is not lost. We've saved it and I will tackle it in a future episode. Or I might have just thought that it needed its whole own episode, and that's why I did not tackle it today. If you'd like to submit a question for a future episode, head over to financialcoachacademy.com/podcast and submit your question. We're going to dive into today's reflection question. Here it is. Please leave a comment on YouTube with your answer or join the conversation in our Facebook group, Financial Coaches Unite. Here it is. It's important that we are students of our craft, always learning and growing on this journey, no matter how long you've been doing it. So today's question is this: are you allowing yourself to be a student as well as a coach? Are you allowing yourself to be a student? In the next episode, I'm going to talk about why you should start, with one-to-one coaching. I believe financial coaching is the best and most rewarding way to make a living. I truly love what I do. If you're ready to learn and see how to become a profitable, successful financial coach, check us out at financialcoachacademy.com, where you can learn more about our online courses, free trainings, and our events. As always, I love hearing from you. If you have any questions, like I said, you can submit them on our website. And if you love this podcast, please head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. It would mean the world to me, and I will see you next week, Coach.